Hey everyone, Paul at ASM. Welcome to part 2 of the Alpha Models 124th Aston Martin DB11 video build. Today, we're going to work on the interior. So, lots to do. Got some cleaning up, we've got some figuring out of what needs painting, what and when. We've got some very fiddly masking to do, and then we've got the wonderful job of figuring out the way the interior goes together to put it in the car, which is always fun with the Alpha Models. If you've built them, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, that's the goal for today. So let's jump in with the build after these messages. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Okay then, so we're on the interior of the Aston Martin DB11. This is what we're going to be working with today, steps 1 to 3. Using the vague instructions that I say in the loosest sense of the word that come with Alpha Models, we're going to figure out what needs painting, what colour, what goes where, and what can be assembled before we fit it inside the car body itself. So there's plenty of parts to this. I'm going to admit it's not the most inspiring of interiors, but it doesn't look too bad at the end once it's done. So we're going to start by removing the paw plugs from some of the larger parts using my Mr. Hobby razor saw. Normally use my JLC one, but I've broken the blade recently, need to get a new one. And then using a UMP 400 thinny stick to remove any excess resin from any of the surrounding areas. Don't forget, if you have any sensitivity to resin at all, please put gloves on, otherwise you can get some burning to your skin. And obviously don't breathe in any of the resin dust either, it can be quite harmful. But just going to go around, clean everything up. There's quite a few parts interior. We've got to put the indicator stalks on the steering column as well. These are very fiddly. They go in specific order, so make sure you pay attention to the instructions. And what I'm doing is getting them off, cleaning them up, a little dab of glue, and then popping them in place where they should be. Like I say, referring back to the instructions to make sure we get them all in the correct order. So fiddly, you don't be pinging these parts off. I did ping one away. Thankfully it landed not far away at all. So really take your time here. And yeah, don't lose the parts. So yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to get it all prepped, primed, then painted. I'm waiting on some wash, so we're not going to get it fully completed today, but we will when it comes in the post. And there we go, there's our steering column done with all our stalks in place. And then we need to mount everything for primer. So using strategic points on the parts. And obviously if you are drilling into the resin parts, make sure you don't go all the way through. We're just using my battery powered drill here to put some holes in so we can mount it to cocktail sticks. And anything else we can use our crocodile clips and or CA glue to hold the parts for primer. So like I said, I've got no wash today. I'm waiting on various colours of brown Tamiya Panaline wash I've ordered. We could have done with them in Audi, and they definitely need them in this one to bring it alive a little bit. So we're not going to do that in this episode, so that'll be in part 3. But we're going to get it all painted, detailed, and put together today as much as we can. Now, I think interiors are my weakest point. I don't know, I always think they just look rubbish. It's just one area I've never really fully enjoyed. I do a lot more nowadays and spend a lot more time trying to make them look a bit more interesting. But it's just one area that I just always think I don't do my best work in. But you can only do the best you can at the end of the day. You can't do any more than that, and yeah, we will with this one. But like I said, it's a little bit of an uninspiring interior. Whereas as a kind of mirror image, the 812 Superfast interior is beautiful. Really enjoyed working on that one. This one, just a little bit mundane, a little bit boring. So let's see what it looks like at the end though before we pass judgment. We've got some PE parts to put on, one of which is the paddle shifter, which we're going to pop on the steering wheel now. So we cut it off, cleaned it up, and we're going to bend the paddles to shape using our tweezers, like so. Nice and simple, nothing too technical there at all. Make sure you get everything the right way round. Get the angles symmetrical and in the right place. And then a quick test fit where we want it to go. There we go. And then a few dabs of CA glue. And then we can pop that in place. Just having a look at the locating points, make sure we got it all the right way around. And there we go. In the spray booth now, we've got some Tamiya Fine Surface White Primer. This has been decanted, left to off gas, thinned about 20% with with Tamiya Lacquer Thinner Retarder. We'll go through my iWatch HPC Plus now and just putting down a few light coats to get the interior all nicely primed. Now we're going to do this in a mix of Zero Paint Saddle Tan and Ferrari Beige to give us a slightly darker beige colour. I think we've done this before on another car, I can't remember which one it was. But it's the colour I've chosen for this one today. So using the white primer, it'll ensure we get full coverage where we need it. Obviously, you could prime in grey as well, and it'll alter the tone in the interior. But for what we want today, we're going to go with white. So I found a nice light coat to begin with, building up to a wetter coat at the end. The Tamiya primers do like to go on a little bit wetter, but you can't hose it on straight away, especially on resin, because it will all bead up and just go absolutely horrible. So it's just a case going around systematically, get it all nice and primed, and then we can leave that to dry and come back for some paint later on. So like I said, I'm going to mix by eye just some Zero Saddle Tan and Zero Ferrari Beige to get the tone of paint I'm looking for. Nothing really specific, just my own vision of the colour I want, really. We're going to do a mixture of the beige, dark beige colour, black accents with some silver accents as well. So there we go, this is a Ferrari Beige colour and the Saddle Tan colour there as well. So there's not a lot of it left in the bottle of the beige, so we're going to use this bottle and mix in there and keep it for future reference. So I'll just get the glove on at the minute, we'll give it a good whiz up with the old Badger paint mixer and then add some of the Saddle Tan by eye until we get the colour we want. So we don't want a really dark tan colour, we just want a colour that's a tone or two darker than the base colour we've got here. So we're going to whiz it up with the old Badger paint mixer. Obviously there are mixer balls in here, so I like to angle it, keep the ball at the bottom, keep the mixer at the top so you don't hit it. I have seen instances of the ball coming through the glass, people using paint mixers before, so be very, very careful. Like I say, just by eye, we can add a little bit. It's totally blasé the way I did it. I don't really have any procedure in mind, I just want to darken it a touch. So add a bit, give it a mix up. And if you think it needs a bit more, add a bit more. If not, leave it be. And for me, that's about right. So you can just see, look, it's darkened it a little bit. So it's almost like a very pale coffee colour now. And we're now going to put several coats of this down everywhere where we need it. So we're going to prime the whole thing. We're going to flock the front section of the carpets. So we'll do that in a lighter beige carpet colour as well. So it's going to be a very light interior on this one, which I think will contrast well against the dark blue exterior. And that was my thought in doing it. Obviously, if you're putting this on plastic, you need to do nice light thin coats or you'll get crazing. Because we're on resin, we don't need to worry as much. But it's still good practice not to hose it on. It's not a paint that really likes to go down wet. So pay attention more to getting all the angles and recesses. Get your coverage down rather than hosing it on. But I think it's a nice colour. I think it's going to suit it. Like I say, just make sure we get everywhere covered and we can sort out detail painting and flocking later on. Same with the dashboard as well. So we are going to pick out some highlights later on. And the seats, it's the seats that need a wash more than anything because they have quite a nice texture to them. So I think it'll make them a bit more visually appealing rather than just a monotone block of beige leather interior. And we're also going to mask off some of the seat and spray it black as well. Like I say, just to break up that monotony of the beige brown. And then any other trim bits inside, we're going to prime in Mr. 1500 black. and then paint probably an LP5 Tamiya semi-gloss black. So it's just a case on the smaller parts, just be careful, don't hose the paint on. A couple of light thin coats is better than one heavy. Like I say, lots of little trim pieces. Thankfully some of them are separate, so it saves us a lot of masking and mucking about. And like I say, there's some PE to go on afterwards as well, so we'll have a nice contrast of colours. So it's about 6 hours later. As you can see now, the carpet has now been flocked up top. Hannah did a fantastic job as usual. And I'm going to mask up and paint the door cards now as well. So this was a lot of fiddly masking. I'm going to save you the heartache of sitting here for hours and watching me do it. We'll do it in about 30 seconds instead. But basically I've used various sizes of Tamiya tape from 1, 2 and 3 mil to the 6, 10 and 18 to mask it all. So just going around, masking where we wanted it with the thinner tape and then infilling with the thicker tapes as required. So make sure you detack all the tape, make sure your base paint is fully dry, don't go too crazy, and just be patient, take your time and double check everywhere is covered. And as you can see, it is a boring job to do, it does take forever. These seats took quite a while to do, but it's better than just having a complete sea of one colour. It breaks it all up. And of course you could brush paint it, but brush painting doesn't always look the best, so sometimes it's well worth the time masking. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's quicker to actually brush paint. That's for you to decide. But for me, if I can mask it, I will. I always will. And there we go. We've got the Iwata HPC Plus again. We've got some LP5 from Tamiya, semi-gloss black. We're going to put a very thin few coats down to begin with, because we don't want to bleed through the tape. But we want to make sure we get coverage, so get all the angles, all the corners. There we go. Like I say, 2 coats is better than 1. Same on the door cards as well. So we're going to have a nice bit of trim around the middle, and then the front piece of the door card will be black as well. The instrument binnacle will be leather colour at the top and black underneath with a nice surround over it. So it's going to look quite nice, this as well, I hope. And then the seats we've masked off as well. So all the back of the seats are going to be black, and the inner part of the headrest will be black as well, with the main headrest and the main part of the seat in the leather colour. So like I say, hopefully it'll break it up a little bit. Won't look as boring as one monotony of either black or beige leather. That's the idea anyway. But like I say, it's going to look better at the end once we get a wash on it, because it'll bring some things alive a bit and add a bit of depth. But I'm just waiting on that to arrive from Poland. I got it from superb.co.uk, which is in Poland, funnily enough. Who'd have thought it? But there we go. Couple of coats down, job done. And then any last parts we're going to brush paint. So we're going to do our indicator stalks with Vallejo model colour black, thinned with a drop of water. We've got a Series 7 number 0 brush. I'm just going to very carefully detail paint these stalks. Quite nice to get back to brush painting every now and then. It really is. Sometimes you get a bit fed up with airbrushing, but airbrushing is by far the better method. But parts like this would be very, very hard to airbrush. We'd have to leave them off separate to do. And sometimes, like I say, it's just not worth doing. Not when you can brush paint something this easily and quick. As long as you have the paint properly thinned, like I have, and you just put one coat down, it'll self-level and look fine anyway. So there we go. And then a little bit of trim on the center console as well. We're just going to paint up very, very carefully. There we go. The model colour is very highly pigmented, does cover really well. Literally just needs the smallest drop of water in there just to break it down a little bit. And it does brush paint absolutely beautiful. I think it's a colour I use on every single car. Now with the instrument binnacle, we've got 3 decals to go in there as well. There was some PE, that's already in there. So just line that up. Get all 3 decals in there. So really can't fault the Hobby Design decals. Absolutely lovely. Obviously, Hobby Design and Alpha Models are one and the same, I believe. And the decals certainly are Hobby Design, and they go on wonderful, really well. Come off the backing paper really quickly. They're a nice quality decal. They set really well with UMP decal solutions, and they're just really high quality decals. Very, very nice. So I'm just having a look at the instructions, probably having a chat with you lot on the live stream as well. And there we go. There's the 3rd and final decal in place. And then we're just going to cotton bud. Give it a gentle rub down, get all the moisture out from behind it, get all the edges burnished down. And there we go. And then once we're happy with it, we'll grab some UMP. I think it's a strong I've gone for straight away. And just give it a bit of a dab, pushing down the edges of the decal as we go. And then we can leave that to one side to dry. There we go. While we're there, we get the, what would this be? The entertainment screen, I suppose it is. So it's got DB11 logo on it. There was also one in there for a sat-nav map as well, but I thought this would look better. On the steering wheel itself, we've got a metallic reverse transfer. So I wouldn't call it a decal because it doesn't need any water. But basically, you cut it out off the sheet, put it in place, burnish it down with a cotton bud or a toothpick, cocktail stick, whatever you want to call it. I'll zoom in so you can see a bit better. And then gently peel it off. You see it did lift off a little bit, but we'll just push that back down with a cotton bud. And these are very nice quality metallic decals. And then right in the centre there is a Aston Martin actual decal to go in place. So get it lined up as good as you can. And then hit it with the decal solutions again. And that'll be good. And again, we'll add a wash to this steering wheel later on, bring it alive a little bit. You could sit and paint buttons on it, but I thought it looked a bit tacky, to be honest, so I decided not to. Now, one bit of the kit I wasn't impressed with these DB11 badges that go on the seat. Why these weren't decals, I don't know. Or even the sticky back ones we put on the steering wheel would have been so much easier. But anyway, we cut them off. Well, they didn't need cutting off. We took them off the fret. A little dab of Bob Smith's glue. Pick up the badge, place it in place and move it around as quick as you can to get it all nice and straight. Yeah, a little bit tacky, these things, not overly impressed, but they came with the kit, so we're going to use it with the kit. It's as simple as that. There you go, I'm just wrecking everything here. There we go. And then our clutch, brake and accelerator pedals. So we just cut these off. We're going to leave them silver. We'll add a wash to them and clean them up next time. They've had a little dab of glue just in their locating points. And we're just pushing them home and into the glue. Flocking looks well. Hannah did quite a good job there. Certainly saves me the mess of doing it in my cave. I refuse to do it in my cave because it gets everywhere. It ends up in every clear coat for months. So we've got some other PE trim to add. We could paint this black. I opted to leave it silver, just as another highlight in the interior. So these are the seatbelt surrounds, I suppose they are. So just a dab of glue, Bob Smith's again, line it all up. And then we've got 2 vents in front of the dashboard. And again, I've opted to leave them silver, just add a little bit of detail. We've got a little speaker vent or some sort of vent in the centre there as well that we've added. It's a case of a little dab of Bob Smith's glue and the locating points. Push them in place, and then I like these pointed cotton buds for removing excess glue and burnishing down the part as well. They come in very, very handy. And then for our instrument binnacle, a generous amount of glue without going crazy. There we go, we glue that in place. And then on the seats, they have pre-drilled holes in the side for the seatbelt buckle. So a little dab of glue in there. And they're good to go. And then a bead of sear glue around the locating points. And we can get the seats in place. Now they're a very tight fit, these, which is good in some respects, I suppose. But yeah, make sure you get the seats the right way around. The buckle for the seatbelt should go on the inside. And I found if you got the front of the seat in first, you could then push the back in. Obviously this is resin, so be careful putting any pressure on. There we go. And now the center console. So there's a nice piece of photo etched trim to go around the edge. So I've cut that off, cleaned it up. We put some dabs of Bob Smith's glue on the back of it, and we just lined it all up. And before we commit to pushing it home, make sure it's on all straight, like so. And then a little surround at the top as well, that we do exactly the same for. There we go. And once you're happy, push it down, make sure it's fully glued in place. Back of the tweezers is always a handy tool. These have become my go-to tweezers now. These are Sizos that we used to sell at UMP. I'll talk about those in a second. I've got my Edding paint pens now, black, just to add some detail to the raised buttons. So proper paint marker, so just adds a nice gloss black button to each one. And then seat belts. So on the seat belts we've got some black ribbon, we've got the supplied buckles, we're going to put some double-sided tape on, cut them to size, and just stick them in place on the car. So you've got rear seat belts and side seat belts. We put the PE surrounds on before for the side ones, and we painted the rear ones black earlier on. Like I was saying, those Sizo tweezers, we used to sell them at UMP. They're anti-static, non-metallic as well, I believe. Non-magnetic, I believe. And I've been using them more and more lately, and they're very, very nice. Now, you've got to be very gentle with them because they are finely pointed, so you will damage them, but I find them good for things like just, detail work like this. Very precise. Like I say, we've got double-sided tape on the back. We'll line it up with that seatbelt hole at the top, and then imagine an imaginary point on the seat where it disappears into at the bottom, like so. There we go, so there's one. And then there's the second one in place, like so. And then the side ones in place onto those photo etch areas we put in earlier on. And then the dashboard, we've got our LCD screen. So a very careful application of a dab of glue. Make sure we get it the right way around. Excuse me. Pop it in place. And then a little bit more at the bottom for the main console in the center. Slide it in. Push it home. Job done. And then we've got our, I think it's the gear selector, is it? So there's a piece for the underneath. Or is it the information thing? Yeah, it could be. I don't know what it is on the Astons, to be honest. Is it like the iDrive on a BMW? Is it the main entertainment input system thing? I don't know. I've no idea. But there's a black piece to go underneath, and then a leather piece coloured to go at the top. On the doors, we're going to put our speaker grills on. We're going to leave them silver, like I said. Adds a bit of contrast against the black. So they look quite smart. And then these surrounds go here. Like so. And then we've got our door handles to pop in place as well. Well, the door release handles, should we say, to go in further up. And there we go. So that's interior mostly done. Like I say, it needs a wash. It desperately needs a wash. I think it'll add a bit of depth to it and break up that monotony. And now we've got the lovely task of figuring out how it all goes together. So 9 times out of 10 the dash goes in first, so that slides in from the front. This has got a large center console in it, so I don't think it's going to go in afterwards. Now looking at it, the door cards fit in next. You'd think anyway. So there's little locating points for those. So just making sure I had the right one, which I did. There you go, that's in place. But holding those two in place and then trying to get the main tub in, those door cards foul it. Now I remember some of the guys talking about this, and I remember their solution. Can you just see there, it's hitting the door cards and stopping this going in. So yeah, that's not going in there. So the solution is we take it all back out, get the door cards back out, put this piece in, and it should fit now, which it does. There you go, perfectly. We spin that round, make sure it's pulled fully back where it needs to sit, and then pop our door card in place through the window. There we go. I remember some of the lads saying they had to do this, and they fit in perfect through the window. So that's the way we're going. And we don't want to put this in today because we're still going to put a wash on it. But I just want to test fit and see how it looked. I think the interior colour looks great against the body colour. Very happy with that contrast in colour. I think it's going to look really, really good. But yeah, it just shows you got to think outside the box a little bit sometimes. And I do remember, I think it was Philip and Paul J. Lewis, Philip Harford, are having trouble getting theirs in. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Once we get a wash in there, it'll bring it alive a little bit. But I'm happy with the contrasting colours, they look really good. So I have a quick wipe over. This body hasn't even been polished or flatted back yet. This is exactly how it is out the airbrush, and it looks fantastic. So once we get that flatted and polished, it's going to look even better. But yeah, really happy with that. Nice contrasting colours. I think they complement each other well. Wheels now, I'm thinking silver. Just going to go silver wheels on this. Classy silver wheels. And yeah, there we go. There's another part of the Aston Martin DB11 done. So there we are. I think that turned out alright. It's not too bad. Like I say, I always think interior is one of my weakest points, but I think we're all a bit self-critical sometimes. Definitely needs a wash on it. I'm waiting on some bottles of brown Tamiya Panaline wash to come. It should be here any day now. We can add a bit of depth to the interior, and hopefully it'll bring it alive a little bit, make it look a bit less monotonal. But other than that, I think it's alright. I'm happy with the colour choice. It goes well against the blue. I think it's a nice contrasting light colour against the dark. Because if it had done black, it would have just looked boring, I think. I know the other option was a really light cream, but yeah, I think I went for the right colour personally myself. So there we go. Still, if you saw the last video, God, that nearly killed me doing that one. The old COVID was kicking my arse a little bit. Well, the cold and the COVID I had. I had to take 3 breaks during that last voiceover to do. This one wasn't too bad today, so hopefully I don't sound as ill on this one. But yeah, still battling a really bad cold, and I've had COVID as well. So I don't know if it's one and the same or the two separate and I get no COVID symptoms at all, but the cold I've had's been pretty wicked, and I was completely deaf in the ear now as well. So it's good fun, all good fun this. But yeah, getting better slowly and getting back into the swing of things more. So there we are. As always, got any comments or questions, pop them down below. Love hearing from you all. You got any comments, questions about the Alpha models, fire away. There's some more on the way to me, apparently, from Alpha models, which is very kind of them as usual. So you should see some more reviews and builds. I love building these. You're going to see these all the time. If I can keep building them, I will keep building them. And I really do. But I'd like to see everybody else's, hear everybody else's thoughts on the Alpha models. Do you like to see me build them? What do you think of them? Don't say they're overpriced. I know they're not cheap, but I think for the price, they're worth the money. But they're not cheap kits at all. I completely understand. There's a difference in not being able to afford or not wanting to pay than actually them not being worth the money. That's an opinion. And that's fine. Everyone's entitled to that. For me, I think they are worth it. But I'd like to see everyone's input on me building them for the channel. Do you enjoy seeing them? or should I stick to plastic kits? I'm doing all three at the minute, so I can't do any more. Porsche's here. I've been busy beavering away on that for the past 2 days, the GT2. So yeah, we've got everything on. They've got a Modified Hero, hopefully keeping everything covered across the board there on all the builds. Anyway, if you'd like to support the channel, keep these videos going, keep the live streams going. You can become a patron me down below. If you become a tier 2 or higher, you get 2 week early access on all the videos. So you see them 2 weeks before everybody else. And there's always 6 to 7 videos in there on pre-release before they go on ISM. Because I produce that many videos, there's loads of them. If not, after a couple of weeks to go on ISM, so you'll see them anyway. There's also a PayPal me and a Buy Me a Coffee link, because without your support, I couldn't keep doing this and keep making these videos. Links to everything else down below. I'm not going to go through the whole list because it'll kill me, but there's everything down there, from the forum, all the products I use, an email address to get in touch with me, my scale mates. Everything is in that description down below. Please leave a comment. Love reading all your feedback, and click that bell notifications, get notified of the latest videos. Give the video a thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. There we are. Enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.